My name is Jack. I'm here to tell you about my experiences with being diagnosed with ulcerative colitis, irritable bowel syndrome, and the raw milk diet that I found, which has ultimately, in my opinion, completely cured this condition, or at the very least, I am controlling it with this diet successfully. Since the age of 3, I'm 32 now, since the age of 3 years old, I've been suffering from stomach problems, diarrhea, um, overall sour stomach, affected my demeanor as well. Had a hard time keeping weight on. As the years progressed, it turned into more inflammation. I started to have bowel movements, primarily with blood, by 18 or 19, um, and I kept losing more and more weight. Terrible skin breakouts, my thoughts were foggy, demeanor got worse, and the entire time I knew it was food related, but I couldn't pinpoint exactly what. Started an elimination diet basically as a teenager, cut out all dairy because I believed I was lactose intolerant. Every time I would drink pasteurized dairy of any kind, I would get immediate stomach pains and occasional vomiting, but lots of diarrhea mostly, and also followed by constipation as well. Anyone who has this condition knows it's very debilitating. Um, and as the years went on, I tried more and more different diets, raw veganism, different variations of raw foodism. At one point, I was eating raw meat, even macrobiotic, different types of cooked foods, different types of elimination diets, Chinese medicine, almost any type of diet you can think of to try to control this situation, and nothing worked. Um, I was dropped down to about 150 pounds. I was eating often, about 6 feet tall, and I kept losing more and more weight, and nothing seemed to sit well in my stomach after I ate anything. Uh, I was introduced to raw milk. I was living in California about 10 years ago in Los Angeles. I tried at the time, and at first it didn't work. It actually caused more inflammation, and my feeling now is because raw milk has so much sugar in it that I had stagnant bacteria in my stomach from all the years of malnutrition and poor digestion in the septic system, that the sugar, just even though it was raw and encased with good nutrients, it just caused further inflammation because the bacteria couldn't deal with that sugar well. So I first tried and failed with that. Years later, after reading more about fermentation of foods and the role of bacteria and how important it is to have a healthy flora system, I decided to try an all kefir / yogurt diet for 2 weeks. I don't know how I came up with this system. There's a lot of reading online and a lot of trial and error and a lot of thought and meditation went into it. But ultimately, it's just something I tried. And at first it didn't work as well for the first 3 or 4 days. I had a full feeling stomach and it kind of hurt, but it wasn't the same feeling. It was a very different type of feeling. It was as if something was moving inside of me for a positive reason. It's hard to describe. It was very intuitive, the feeling. Um, but I deprived myself of sugar completely. So it was almost as if it was a fast, but it was a high calorie fast, if that makes sense, because there was nothing to cause the inflammation in my system. It was just completely bacteria fed food and completely kefrized, completely sour, no sugar, no maple syrup, nothing to it. So I just decided to commit to this, and after about 2 weeks, I woke up in the morning and had a strange sensation in my stomach I hadn't had since I was a child. I had a perfect bowel movement, and that's something that had never happened since I was a little boy. I'm 32 now. Every single day after that, as I continued the diet, more was coming out of me than what I was putting in, and it was perfect. It was like the kind you write home about. And I started with the fresh milk because I started to crave the sugar. And right when I did that, everything was fine as well. I believe that I had starved myself of the stagnant pathogenic bacteria and implemented such good lactobacillus, all these types of strains of names of bacteria that are in the raw grass-fed organic milk, whether it's from a cow or goat or human or anything, all those strains that our bodies were formed from if you're fortunate enough to be breastfed, have now completely taken over all the bad bacteria. And now us feeding it the fresh raw milk with I say milk sugar, but it's lactose, which is just a milk sugar. It's not actually table sugar like sucrose. That was now feeding my system, and I started to just gain weight, which is what one of my purposes was, besides just to be healthy. In less than 3 months, I put on nearly 30 pounds. I weigh 185 pounds now. This is now 2 years ago when I succeeded with this experiment. My digestion has been great ever since. I've been able to go off and eat other foods besides the raw milk, cooked starches and different forms of meat. Mostly the raw are the better for me, sushi and sashimi and carpaccio style stuff, but I can eat anything. If I do it too many days in a row outside of a certain type of diet, inflammation does return, but I can always go back to this raw milk diet and it goes away almost immediately. I feel like I found a cure for digestive disorders in the form of this raw milk. Though it may take some time, it works. And this is from a guy that every single diet that I've ever tried, every way of treating my body, I've always been health conscious. Nothing was working. With the raw food diet, with the juicing and the cleansing, the fasting, I always felt clean, but I was wasting away. When I would try a heavier diet based on heavier starches and rice and or meats, cooked or raw or anything, it just didn't digest cleanly. I always felt like there was residue left over, and I didn't have complete elimination. I didn't like how I felt afterwards, even energetically, eating all of that meat or having to eat the cooked rice or the cooked starches. It just always made me feel heavy and bulky inside, but never actually gaining any kind of real mass or muscle. This diet really takes care of everything. It leaves you feeling clean on the inside, whereas it's complete digestion and nothing is left over, in the sense that it makes you feel as if you hadn't eaten much, but I'm eating quite a lot. I'll make a jar of half cream and half full fat milk, and it's 1,000 calories right there. And afterwards, I feel like I could go do anything. And because milk, when it's fed grass and when it's organic and when it's raw, has every nutrient the mammal body needs, I know that I'm not lacking anything. Just as a baby's not lacking anything when it's breastfeeding from its mother. It's the same nutrients, perhaps in a different ratio, but in a similar enough ratio from what I understand that it supports life across any type of mammal species. So the next thing is, this is illegal where I live in Hawaii, and so I have it imported from the source, from the mainland. It's illegal in a number of states, and I question whether that's because of ignorance of what raw milk actually is and the types of diseases it may contain, or whether it's purposeful from a higher authority that knows that this is the cure-all, and they don't want to get the secret out so everyone can just be well. Cholesterol, fat, sugar, all these things are in milk, but these are all good things from how I understand it, and they make me feel good. They make me feel healthy. So I'm here to get the word out about raw milk and benefits it has and what it can do for you. And if you go online, different websites, search engine, Google raw milk sources. There's a real milk or raw milk website. Check out Weston Price. It's a fellow by the name of Augenes Vonderplanitz, though I don't completely agree with all of his points of views. He talks a lot about raw milk and his experiences with healing, and he's a nutritionist as well, and he gets people on these diets. When I lived in LA and Venice Beach, I met a number of people who did well on it. Out here in Hawaii, I get my order in, I distribute it to friends, and um, it's babies, toddlers, older people, everyone seems to do well with it, even people who are lactose intolerant. Um, Lactose intolerance really, as far as I can believe, really means you're pasteurized milk intolerant. To be intolerant to lactose would be intolerant to the sugar that's in milk itself. Well, we're all raised as mammals to feed off breast milk. Um, I don't believe that we're actually lactose intolerant. I think what they're trying to say is that after a certain age, your pancreas, which produces the digestive enzymes, stops producing milk sugar, lactase, and the enzyme to break down lactose. And most all milk these days is boiled. It's pasteurized. There's no enzymes. After a certain boiling point is created, the enzymes are destroyed. So if your pancreas isn't making the enzyme and the milk doesn't contain it, or the raw food itself doesn't contain it, there's no way for your body to interact with it and break it down, so it just tries to eliminate it as quickly as possible. That's where the intolerance comes from. So as long as those numbers are taken care of,